Hello everyone, welcome you all to my channel English with Shriya. Today we will be learning the poetry My Mother at 66 written by Kamala Das. This poem has been prescribed by CBSE for the students of class 12 and I have taken this poem from your NCERT book Flamingo. So without further delay, let's move on to the explanation of this poem. So before going into the poem in details, let's learn something about our poet Kamala Das, whose name itself suggests that she is an Indian writer. She used to write in Malayalam as well as English and used the pen name that is Madhvakutti, which she used to write all the works she wrote, and she was married at a very early age and wrote about complications of domestic life, sex and lust, the unfair privileges of caste and wealth, and the contradictions of motherhood. Very openly, very easily in her works. One of her notable work is her autobiography, that is My Story. So Kamala Das was a very open-minded poet who used to wrench out all her feelings, all her complications of personal life in her works. So let's go into the poetry directly. Okay, so before going into the detailed explanation of the poem, let's get an overview of the poem. Firstly, My Mother at 66 is written as a blank verse. Now, what is a blank verse? A blank verse is referred to a poem which does not follow any particular pattern or rhyme scheme. None of the lines end in a similar tone. While you will be reading the poem, in the next slide I'll be showing, you will see that none of the words at the end of the sentences are rhyming with any other line. So that's a blank verse. Now, in this poem, Kamala Das had tried to highlight a point, that is, death is inevitable. Now, what is inevitable? Inevitable means anything which cannot be avoided, anything which cannot be denied. So, in our life, anything which is born will die one day. We cannot ignore that. Man is mortal. Man has been born to die one day. So man is mortal and death is something which is the bitter truth. So we have to accept that. Secondly, love and fear of separation go hand in hand. Now what does this mean? Because anyone whom we love very much, anyone who is very special to us, we are always afraid to lose that person. We are always in a fear of getting separated from that person, isn't it? So loving a person and having the fear of losing that person always goes simultaneously. Here in this poem, Kamala Das is a daughter who is driving to an airport where her mother was just sitting beside her, sleeping, taking a nap. Now, constantly when she was looking at her mother, she realized that she has grown old. Her mother is no longer young and her health also got deteriorated. By thinking this, she got emotional and she's afraid of losing her mother. But yet, under such circumstances, when you feel that yes, somebody whom you love needs you, on the other hand, you have separate commitments too, because a woman has several roles to play. So here also the poet had to leave her mother, but she got very emotional and was really afraid that might be the next time when she will be returning to visit her mother, she might not see her the way she is seeing now. So this poem is reflective in nature. Reflective means when you look back at things, when you realize. So it's a poem which depicts a very subtle and intricate relationship between a mother and a daughter. Or we can say that from an elder daughter's perspective, how it feels when your mother gets old. That's the poem here. So let's go and learn the poem line by line. Okay, let's read the poem. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me, doors open mouthed, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked. So here Kamala Das was driving from where? From her parents' home, where she was going to Cochin airport, and the date was last Friday morning. Now, she had seen her mother, who was just beside her, doze, means she was taking a light nap or sleep. Open mouthed, her mother's mouth was kept open, which is one of the signs of aging, because when you are getting old or you are becoming very much fatigued or exhausted, you open your mouth while sleeping to grab more oxygen. So her mother's mouth was kept open, her face ashen like that of a corpse. Now ashen means like ash, means very pale. So her mother's face was looking so pale that she compared that paleness with that of a corpse. Now what is a corpse? Corpse is a dead body. After death, a person's blood circulation stops and he or she looks very much fairer but duller. She looks more dull, she looks more pale and very much flat. Now that paleness of a dead body has been compared with the paleness of the writer's mother's face. And by seeing that, she realized with pain that she was as old as she looked. It means that, for example, some TV actors, television actors, or heroes of Bollywood, they are supposedly 50, 60 years, but they do not look like that because they maintain themselves. You cannot figure out their original age by looking at them, isn't it? But here, Kamala Das could really figure out that her mother was 66 and the age was very much prominent on her face. So she was realized with pain, with very much pain, she realized that yes, my mother has gone old. But soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees sprinting. Now she was feeling that how much I will be staring at my mother, I will be feeling very much sad and quite helpless too. So to deviate her sad mind, she wanted to look outside the window of the car. So soon put that thought away, means to put that thought aside, looked out of what? Out of the window. Young trees sprinting. Young trees are moving fast. Sprinting means what? Sprinting means moving very fast. Now, I'm giving you an example of this movement of sprinting. Suppose you are traveling by train. So, you will be seeing that it feels like all the telegraph poles, all the trees are running back. Isn't it? It means that suppose you're sitting at the train and some other other train is going, so they will be feeling that you are moving backward. So this is a virtual movement which is not really true, but you feel that something is moving very fast, that is sprinting. Now here the poet who was just inside the car was looking outside and she was feeling that all the trees are moving or running back. Now why the trees are called young? Because we always say someone who looks young for So generally what we see that anyone who can maintain the age and doesn't look older, we always say that you look evergreen. So greenery is attached to youth. Now to keep or maintain or refer to a direct contrast or to create a contrasting factor, the poet has used the word young trees sprinting, that the trees are moving back, which shows activity, which shows liveliness. The merry children spilling out of their homes. So there are few houses and lot of children are spilling out, means coming out of the houses. Now this entire thing or saying which the poet had seen while she was looking out of the window was full of life, full of activity, vigor, energy, enthusiasm, which was having a stark contrast with the lifelessness of the scenario which was inside the car. So to create a complete contradiction and a complete contrast, the poet has used such imagery of that the children are spilling out. Okay, now they have reached the airport, and we know that airport is the most formal place which lacks emotion. That's for a change. So let's get back. Airport's security check. So while the security check was going on, she suddenly realized that yes, my mother was also there. So she was standing a few yards away, and she looked again at her mother, and again she was disheartened to see her mother to be same pale and wan. Wan means that colorless, like pale only. Similar words as a late winter's moon. So here the poet has compared mother's face, or the paleness of the mother's face, the dullness of the mother's face, to the late winter's moon. Now why late winter's moon? Number one reason is that in the late winter the moon doesn't seem to be very bright. Okay, lot of fog is there, lot of layers are there which doesn't let the moon shine brightly, or doesn't make it so much brightly visible to us. Okay, so that's why it looks quite dull. And secondly, winter is something which has always been used by authors, poets and writers over the years in literature to symbolize something ending, to symbolize death or impending end. The way we use spring to refer something new, rejuvenation, refreshing, new life, same way winter is always used to signify that your life is ending, it's an approaching end. So in this way, winter's moon has been compared with the mother's face. Both are pale and both are signifying that the end is near. So by seeing that, she felt that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear. Now what was the childhood fear of the poet? We do not know that clearly, but we can just assume that all the children at their childhood are very much afraid to lose their mother. Whenever their mother is out of their sight, they start crying, and that's a very common fear of every child, and a very familiar fear also. But that time things are quite silly, and we just get afraid without any reason. But now the fear is actually real, and the poet can really feel that old familiar ache surfacing up, and she was moved by this. And here then we see, but all I said was, see you soon, Amma. So when she was feeling that she was breaking down, she will be crying, she was just giving up, at that moment of time she just presented a very brave attire. She came up brave and told her mother that see you soon, Amma. All I did was smile, smile and smile. So she had put a smile on her face, and she told her mother that see you soon, just to assure that we will be seeing each other very soon. You will be recovering. So that was an assurance to the mother, as well as that was an assurance to herself that yes, next time when you come down, you can see your mother, you can meet your mother. But that wasn't a very much a strong belief, because here the poet has used smile and smile and smile. Now she had put so much of effort in smiling, because the smile was artificial. So that's it. That was the poem here, where we come to know about the very subtle intricacies of the mother-daughter duo. The daughter was trapped in such responsibilities and such constraints of relationship, that she knew that she needed to stay by her mother, or she wanted to stay by her mother, but there was different liabilities, different commitments, responsibilities for her too, because we know a woman plays too many roles, and she is expected by too many people to do their job. So here the poet was completely feeling that she might not meet her mother next time when she visits her parents' home. Her mother was growing old. She might not live long. So she was very much touched, and the old familiar ache that my mother will be dead, my mother might go far away from me. This childhood fear was again surfacing when she was seeing her mother constantly dozing open mouth. Okay, that's it. So now we will be going through all the figure of speech which has been used here in the poem. Number one, that is simile. Now, what is simile? It's a form of figurative language in which a comparison is made between two things which have something in common. Now, for example, if I say my sister is as brave as a lion. Now, why did I compare my sister with a lion? Because there is something common in them, that is bravery. If I say that she is as beautiful as a rose. Now, why did I compare her to a rose? Because both are having something in common, that is beautiful. So there should be something common in both the things with which we will be comparing, and there will be two words, that is as and like. If we use these two words, as and like, to compare two things, then that is simile. That figure of speech is simile. Now here in this poem, we know that in two places, poet's mother's pale appearance has been compared to two phenomena. Number one, to a corpse, that is a dead body. Number two, like late winter's moon, because late winter's moon is also dull, and her mother's face was also dull. So in this way, paleness of the mother's appearance was compared directly to that of a corpse and that of a late winter's moon. So there simile has been used. Then we see personification. Now, what is personification? It is the attribution of human characteristics to something non-human. When something is not having life, but we are putting something of human characteristics to make it more evoking or effective. For example, if I say that the tree is shivering in cold. Now, how can the tree shiver? Shiver is a characteristics which the human beings do. We shiver in cold, isn't it? The trees can't shiver. But when I am using the term that the tree is shivering in cold, what is my purpose? My purpose is to make it more effective to the readers that yes, it's really very cold outside. That's why the tree is also shivering. Isn't it? So to make the things more effective, we often attribute some human characteristics to something non-human. So here where personification has been used, it's used in the line when the poet has seen all the young trees sprinting. Sprinting means moving. Now moving trees are not locomotive, isn't it? They cannot move, they are fixed. But here the poet is telling that they are moving back. So here also poet has attributed the characteristics of a human to create a stark contrast with another human who is just sitting lifeless in the car. So to create the difference, he had attached the word sprinting or moving with tree, which is a clear usage of personification. Next, let's see, that is imagery. Now, what is imagery? Imagery is the art of painting images. Yes, it's an art of painting, creating images, but not with paint brushes, but with the use of phrases and words. By reading some lines, we can clearly visualize something in front of our eyes. That's called imagery. Now here where it has been used, it's in the line when married children spilling out of their homes. Now whenever we are reading this line that all the children are very happy, very excited, and they are all rushing outside, spilling outside their home. Now when we are reading this, automatically we just for a second you think of all those students of class 5 and 6 or 3 and 4, when the dispersal bell goes, all tries to rush out of their classroom. Just they will be boarding the bus, they will be coming out from the entry or dispersal gate to meet their parents, to go and board the buses. So that image gets visualized by us when we always hear that married children are spilling out of their homes. So here the poet tries to create an image in front of us so that we can clearly contradict that image with that which was inside the car. Lifeless, dullness was there inside the car, and outside there was enthusiasm, vigor, and liveliness. Next, we will come to alliteration. Now, what is alliteration? Alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant sound at the beginning of two or more nearby words. Now, in a sentence, if you find two words or three words which are starting with the same letter, okay, suppose in a sentence there is the word see, S-E-A-C. If there is the word socks, S-O-C-K-S. If there is the word sea beach, so it means too many words or more than two words are starting with the same letter, that is S. So their alliteration has been used. Now what is the main thing which we need to remember in alliteration is that alliteration is the repetition of only consonant sounds. It will not include A, E, I, O, U. It means that the vowels won't be included, only the consonants. If the consonant is repeated at the beginning of two or more than two words, then we call it alliteration. Now here many places my mother, MM at the beginning of the words, that thought, TT has been repeated. Then I said was see you soon, S. So same letter at the beginning of two or more than two words, when repeated we call it alliteration. Clear? Okay. Next we move on to repetition. Now there's a fun way to remember what is repetition. That's the elder brother of alliteration. Yes, in alliteration the consonant letters are repeated, and in repetition words are repeated. Here, repetition is a literary device that repeats the same words or phrases a few times to make the idea more concrete, more clear, and very much significant. Okay, to make it more effective, to give it more clarity, some words are repeated. Here, at the last line of the poem, when the poet is saying, "All I did was smile and smile and smile," so she wanted to create that effect that yes, I am putting a lot of effort to put the smile on my face, because that was not real, but that was a made up smile to assure my mother that everything is very much okay and cool. So that's repetition, when words are repeated. Clear? So that's it. I hope you all have understood the poem. If there are any doubts, you can comment down below in the comment box. If you like my video, you can like and share among your friends and subscribe. Thank you.